Facing cancer doesn't mean you are now only the cancer patient. So often we hear those with cancer share the need to feel seen, to feel understood, and not feel alone. So whether you are facing cancer yourself or supporting someone who is, join us. My name is Susan Larkin. We are Facing Cancer Together. Throughout the podcast, you've heard people share their very personal stories and experiences around cancer. So many of them were nervous about being interviewed. So when I asked them why they were doing it, they wanted to share their story to help someone else going through treatment to know they are not alone. Here are some wonderful clips from our very special guests. Michelle Sylvain.
Someone ring the victory bell while we were having that conversation, and everyone stops and claps. Everyone in the entire floor. It's beautiful. And I got a little teary-eyed about it. And he looked at me and he said, "Don't worry, you're going to be there too." And at that point I couldn't fathom being there. But I did. And I made it through, and you're a lot stronger than you think you are.
Melanie McDonough.
I think sometimes being the person going through cancer, even though you have an amazing support group, it's still difficult because sometimes you feel alone. So I think the whole point in me doing this podcast is that even if I can, one part of my story, touch someone to know that you're not alone and a lot of people are going through this, and you can come out the other end of it a stronger, I don't want to say better person, but a stronger person that's different for the good. It's a scary journey, but on the other end, like looking back, I've made a lot of changes and I'm okay. And it's tough. It's really tough while you're going through it, but you're going to be okay.
Denise Dimitrick.
I think I would have just said to myself, it's scary, but you got this. You're going to get through this. You got this. And I know that I have this, but there are days where you just feel like, do I? Do I really have this? Yeah. Is this really going to go away if I have a lymphoma that's going to literally be with me to the day that I die? Like, is this going to go away? I would just tell you, yeah, it will. You got this. That's really all I could think of right now, because when you're in such a state of unknown, because even if you survive cancer, even if you get your 2 scans or your 2 years of everything's great, yes, you're a cancer survivor, but there's always that slight chance that something could come back. So in the back of your mind, out of sight, out of mind, but when you know that there's something there, just like I could have a Crohn's flare up tomorrow, which I actually have had since I've had my treatments. So you're just like, roll with the punches.
Michael Suba.
When I look back on it was the best thing that ever happened to me. They do say that troubles come not as solitary spies, but in legions. But I was living my life like many 25-year-olds, like I was in a beer commercial. And this sort of got me squared away. I married my girlfriend.
The one who dumped you?
The one that dumped me, yeah. I married her, still married to her. We have 3 beautiful children. And I took over my dad's company. I now run it, and I've expanded it and everything. I'm quite pleased. It's now become my life's work, I'm told, which is a wonderful way of saying you're getting old in this place. And I have been given an unrated life insurance policy, which means I can fall in front of a bus like anyone else.
Bonnie Walker.
Don't lose you in the process. Remember who you were. Remember who you are. This should not strip you of your being. This is just something that you have to focus on for a little bit. You have to get through it stage by stage. I have another colleague right now who's going through colon cancer, and they want her to go for a PET scan and this and that. And I said, okay, one thing at a time. Right now it's chemo. Focus on chemo. Do that. Do it well. Get through it. Move on. Next. Okay, if there's something else, deal with that then. But you can't deal with it all at once. You have to deal with it in stages and say, okay, so mastectomy, operation, yeah, okay, good. Next, chemo, yeah, okay, good. Next, radiation, yeah, okay, let's get through that. Next, and one thing at a time. You can't do it. You can't stress out over everything at once. So take every little piece as it comes up. The diagnosis is probably the hardest. And then after that, how am I going to ensure that I evict the squatter from my body?
Maureen Holloway.
Avail yourself of all the resources. Listen to this podcast.
Yeah.
Get uplift. Join these groups. Talk to somebody who's had cancer. Now, do be prepared that you may call up a friend who had cancer and they may not want to talk about it because they're dealing with it their own way. But, it's so common. It is so common and it affects everybody.
Thank you to our experts, Dr. Margaret Fitch, Audrey Guth, Dr. Christine Mayhew, Maureen Parkinson, and Denise Gabrielson. And thank you to our other special guests, Natasha Ward, Denise Dimitrick, Jules Wish, Michelle Adouet, Bonnie Walker, Andrea Galley, Melanie McDonough, Michael Suba, Maureen Holloway, Wendy Mesley, and Michelle Sylvain. As we wrap up this podcast series, I want to thank all our guests for being so open, vulnerable, and candid in sharing their experiences. It has been an honor to be part of these conversations. I hope you were able to take away something, whether it be practical information or a moment you connected with personally. Please remember to share the Facing Cancer Together podcast with friends and family who may find it helpful. On behalf of Look Good, Feel Better, thank you to our guests, our experts, and thank you for listening.
This is Story Studio Network.